Seth Rogen has been called a pothead before, but did you know he was just killing time? Yes, hear all about his new CBC series right now on this well-glazed episode of Brio.tv, the podcast. Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Brio.tv, the podcast. I'm your host, Bill Brio. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with the talent level on this new CBC reality series, The Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown. The series is produced out of Grenville Island in Vancouver Harbor, and among the executive producers is one of Vancouver's most famous sons, Seth Rogen. He's known for being a big advocate of pot and cannabis, but I did not know until this series began that he's also an accomplished potter. He gets his hands dirty a few times on camera on the series, making, of course, ashtrays, but also cups and other things from behind a pottery wheel. Now, like the Great Canadian Baking Show, this is a concept that has been imported from the UK. I've watched the baking show a few times, and, I admire anybody who can make cupcakes under pressure, but to make the cups, there's a lot to pottery. You got to fire up your creations and cure them in a kiln and then add colors and glaze the next day. I have to say the contestants on this show in the episodes I've seen are very, very talented. The series was promoted last December at the CBC Broadcast Centre in downtown Toronto. This is where I sat down and recorded this interview with three key members of the series. Now, Rogen himself wasn't at that press session. However, my guest insists he's very hands-on with the show. Meet then my guests, host Jennifer Robertson and judges Brendan Tang and Natalie Waddell. Keep in mind, this was recorded a few months ago, so we're well past the February premiere, but you can catch up with the series by streaming it anytime on CBC Gem, with new episodes airing Wednesdays on the main network. And one other note, the room where this was recorded up on the 10th floor at CBC was pretty echoey, and only one microphone was used while we were sitting around a table. So the sound levels are a little wonky. Producer Phil Hong here put the audio through his tweak machine, but apologies for the less than perfect sound. Now, here they are, Jennifer, Brendan, and Natalie.
Hi, how are you?
Please have a seat.
Okay.
Sorry, it looks like an interrogation here.
It does.
Where were you on the night of the 14th?
Bring the light down,
Yeah.
back and forth.
With the pottery wheel murder weapon.
Maybe, yes, no,
Yes.
I don't know.
I watched the first episode and really enjoyed it. I thought it was terrific.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is really great. And I have a cottage up the Bruce Peninsula, and there's a couple of potters up there.
Okay.
And we go up and we bought, the usual mugs and dishes and things. But these are folks that have been doing this for years and years in order to be really good at it, right?
Yeah.
So I was fascinated to see how intricate from that first episode, what was created was amazing. Really, were you astounded by how clever everything was on that first show?
Yeah, I think right from the get-go, I was like, there'll be some weaker potters, but I think it was just really, we're splitting hairs right from the get-go and what was going on.
The level of creativity and the range of, everyone's personality coming through in their work was really wonderfully captured in that first challenge.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then for someone like me who came in with a deep appreciation for pottery, but no knowledge, my mind was completely blown.
Yeah.
That we were giving them such a short amount of time to do this very intricate piece. And of course, I relied heavily on Brendan and Natalie always to explain everything to
Have
me.
you taken a shot at this, Jennifer? Have you tried it with the wheel and you got your hands dirty?
I made a very small pot.
There you go.
With a lot of assistance from Natalie, just like emotional support from Brendan.
That's generous.
You were playing PlayStation at the time. Anyways, I definitely, it's so much harder than it looks on the wheel because the potters make it look effortless.
Right.
And so I thought, I'll just do this. And Natalie's like, equal pressure, equal pressure. I'm like, I don't control my own hands anymore. What am I doing?
It is surprisingly mechanical. And when people are new to it, it's amazing to see just how challenging it is controlling your own body and keeping track of all your different bits and parts.
Natalie, how did you get started? What was your first...
I got started over 2 decades ago working in clay and really just took to it after having an opportunity to manage a paint your own ceramic studio and really enjoying the monotonous work of loading kilns and glazing pots and teaching people how to decorate forms. So I eventually decided I wanted to deep dive into studying ceramics, making it myself, and I ended up at Sheridan College in their craft and design program.
Wow. Where are you based? Where are you?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, you are here in Toronto. So you went to Sheridan. That was handy.
Yeah.
They have a course in pottery.
They do. They have a really great ceramic program. It's really renowned.
Wow, that's great. Brandon, how about you? How did you get started?
Yeah, I think for me, the ceramic bug bit early. I was like in high school and I was introduced to the wheel, and then I went to university and I was doing the visual arts and kind of really fell in love with ceramics. I grew up on Vancouver Island.
Oh, wow.
And so that is a place where you can swing a cat and hit a potter. It's
rich with potters.
Rich with potters. And so it was really wonderful because I got to apprentice with some potters there to kind of get my sort of foot in the door and thinking about this as a vocation. So I've been doing it since I was 18 or 19.
Wow.
And then, just going through university, I started on Vancouver Island, then went to the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design out in Halifax.
One end of the country to the other.
Yeah, coast to coast. And then did my master's down south in the States. It's always been part of my entire adult life, I think. Yeah.
Where do you go in the States to master in this?
Yeah, there's a lot of programs, and I went to a university in Southern Illinois, University of Edwardsville, which is in the middle of the cornfields in the Midwest of the United States. Yeah, it was a wild trip, but there are so many amazing programs both down in the States and in Canada that work in ceramics. So yeah.
We'll be back with the host and judges of the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown after this short break. Here we are again with Sweet Emily Gagne from Hollywood Sweet. Emily, do you like your new nickname?
I love it, Bill.
All right, what do you got for us this month on Hollywood Sweet?
Well, we've got some sweet offerings for you.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I particularly like the Women in Film collection that we have. It's Women's History Month, so we always like to celebrate with some historic achievements by women in film. So we've got films like Private Benjamin, which was written by Nancy Myers. We've got Ishtar, which I've mentioned before on this ad space.
Yeah.
We've got Cemetery. We have some Barbara Streisand directed content. The Mirror Has Two Faces. The Holiday. You name it, we've probably got it this month for Women in Film.
Very good. And you've got an exciting new documentary too, I hear.
Yes, it's called Nuked. And if you loved Oppenheimer and learning more about the bomb and how it was made, now you can watch this film, which talks about the indigenous populations that were affected by the aftermath of the bomb. So it's a really good complement to the award season, front runner.
Well, I don't want to tell Hollywood Sweet what to program here, but you should pair that with Dr. Strangelove and perhaps just Blow Up, just because of the title, right?
Yes. There's lots of options for the
All right. There you got it. That's what you're seeing this month. Lots of great films by women directors and stars on Hollywood Sweet. Emily, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Bill.
And we are back with the Great Canadian Pottery people.
How did you all come to this show? Was there online, hey, we need judges? What was the origin of your bringing yourselves here?
Mine was just an email showing up in my inbox asking if I would be interested in talking to somebody about participating as a judge.
Wow, you were scouted.
Apparently so.
Nicely done.
Mhm.
Not a lot of movies about pottery scouts, not yet. A lot of sporting scout movies, not the pottery scouts, not yet.
Ghost is the big movie if you're
Sure.
pottery, right? That's
Oh yeah.
Well, it's the scene, yeah. And as a pottery instructor, I don't know how many times I have to field that question about whether or not there will be a reenactment. I don't know if you get that as much at Emily Carr.
No.
No. Okay, so I'm just the only person afflicted.
Yeah, HR approached me and said, "No, you cannot. Do not bring up ghosts. Do not. It's not appropriate." Yeah. So.
What was your path to this show?
It was also an email from the production team at Frantic Films, and they sent an email. And it's funny, like as a visual artist, you get some really funny emails, like people saying, "Oh, I'm looking for artwork for my wife," or can you do donations and all this sort of stuff. So this was, one of the top weird ones in my inbox.
Definitely thought it was spam for at least a few days.
I was like, how is this a scam? But then it was just like, I was just like, this is so strange. I have to say, yes, I'm interested, because they're like, we're thinking about developing the show. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, for sure.
Is there a British version of this? Is that what? That's the original.
Yeah.
And were either of you aware of it? Did you know that they were doing a pottery throwdown in the UK?
Oh yeah, I've watched the show for years, off and on, whenever I could get access to it online. And it's a great thing. It was so amazing when the Brits came up with that show, because it was putting pottery out there for more people to find out about, to be intrigued by, and also to feature their amateur potters and to celebrate the art form. And any opportunity to celebrate ceramics and pottery is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had watched the show as well?
I'd watched some episodes here and there. It was a little harder for me to find. But yeah, there was lots of YouTube clips of Keith crying. I know. And but yeah, like I was very familiar with it the first couple of seasons with Sarah as well. So it was one of those things where it was like any exposure we could get to the field is amazing for sure. Yeah.
I think it's even more impressive than the baking, shows. Like, it's such a specific thing. It's hard.
Yeah.
Baking's really hard too to do right, but wow, this is pretty cool. So you're doing this show, and then this fella comes in, and he's the executive producer, and he's probably has already sparked up a dart. We're talking Seth Rogen, of course. And obviously, I don't know anything to do with darts, or I would have used a term that my children would have said, Dad, stop. So I apologize. That was Doobie in my day. Yeah, so I don't know what they call it. But how cool was that to be working with Seth?
That was great. I mean, he's a passionate man about pottery. The funnest parts for me when he was around was watching Natalie and Seth and Brendan really like get in a corner and talk about glaze. Like it had this energy of like hot gossip at the water cooler, but it was about pottery. And it was just
Let's not forget, there was also discussion of our favorite tools, our favorite gadgets, and whoever we were following obsessively on Instagram, and a big fan of other ceramic artists. Because I think that's one thing you get a lot of in the ceramic community, whether you're Seth Rogen or just anybody, is we're pretty supportive, and everybody's, stalking each other in the best possible way.
It feels like a very connected community. So when we taped the first episode, none of the Potters knew who the judges were or anything about the show. Yeah. And there was just as much excitement when Natalie and Brendan came out and recognition as there was when Seth came out. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's them. So it was wonderful. Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Seth surprised me because he was pretty critical. Like he really seemed to say, well, wait a minute, if I had to make one comment, he wasn't soft peddling any of his comments, right?
Yeah, no, I think he definitely wanted to lead the charge with sort of raising the bar or presenting like the best of the best. Mm-hmm. And so that sort of criticality that he brought to the set was really kind of exciting, and it was fun to work with him. I have to be totally honest, I was like kind of totally starstruck, and I was in my head always like the mantra of just like, play it cool, Brendan, this is Seth Rogen, play it cool. But then once we started talking shop about ceramics, it was just really, he was just another ceramic nerd. Yep. Like the rest of us, and we were totally got into it.
Because you have the Vancouver connection as well, right?
Yeah,
He's a hit everywhere in Canada, but there he's a native son, right? He's the guy. And is it shot? Are you actually down in on the island there under the bridge? That's where in
the old Emily Carr.
What a beautiful locale for this too, right? That's pretty
absolutely
cool. Yeah, it's iconic, really.
Lunch was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't touch that wheel. We're back with the great Canadian pottery people, Jennifer, Brendan, and Natalie, in just a moment. Well, did you know that it was June Carter Cash who wrote one of Johnny Cash's biggest hits, Ring of Fire? That's just one of the things you'll learn watching June, streaming this month on Paramount+. June shines a spotlight on the history of country music and the Carter and Cash families. The 5-time Grammy Award-winning singer, actor, and author has opened for Elvis, appeared on screen with Robert Duvall and Jane Seymour, and as mentioned, was a damn fine songwriter. Featuring interviews with the woman herself, the film also includes sit-downs with her family, admirers, and friends, including Dolly Parton, Reese Witherspoon, and Willie Nelson. And remember, there's a mountain of premium entertainment for audiences of all ages on Paramount+. What's new this month on Super Channel? Well, if you're looking for the next big, frothy family drama, check out Prosper, an Aussie-Brit hour-long serial premiering March 24th on Super Channel Fuse. Prosper follows the Quins, the founding family behind one of the fastest-growing megachurches in the world, U-Star, based in Sydney, Australia. Poised on the precipice of a lucrative American expansion, the family, hell-bent on global domination, both work, right? Is about to catapult into a whole new stratosphere of wealth and unchecked power. But behind closed doors, the Quins are a family protecting shameful secrets, all while preaching a message of faith, love, and acceptance for the many thousands of followers. This is a study of a damaged family inextricably bound together while tearing themselves apart. And remember, Super Channel, an all-Canadian service, is available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels and Apple TV+. You can also check out the new streaming channel Super Channel Plus, available now on the Roku platform in Canada. Throw down whatever you're doing, because we're back.
And how many, is there 10 episodes? How many is this season, do you know?
There's 8 episodes.
8 episodes?
Yeah.
And so it works like baking show, someone is eliminated every episode.
Yeah.
I've only seen the one, and one of the tasks that they have to perform is to make an ashtray. Seth demonstrates his.
Yeah.
Which it was fascinating to watch how he seemed very dexterous with how to do this, right? Because every wheel is a bit different, right? It would be a bit tricky, is it, to sort of just sit down at a pottery wheel and let it rip, or are they all the same?
I think they're more universal now.
Okay.
And I think, electric wheel is an electric wheel. And so, I think he was probably pretty comfortable with that one, but he's like, he knows his craft. He knows that one pretty inside out. I think what was the really interesting twist to it is that in the British show, they would often ask the potters to emulate the exact one.
Oh.
But I thought it was really quite brave for Seth to be like, no, let's open it up. Let's really set a tone where we want to see these artists express themselves.
Oh, it made it so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
all different.
So different.
And some of the finish and the refinement to the surface, very specific and beautiful. Like, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So, what is the prize at the end? Where does this lead to? What happens?
It's a Canadian show. There's no $1 million at the end of this road.
It is the pride and the ability to say you put it all out there and you had a good experience.
Box of Timbits? Come on. What else we got?
There is a trophy. We can't give any more details than that, but there is
Is it
a
ceramic?
trophy.
The
Can't
trophy?
say.
Oh, come on.
Just have to watch and find out.
It's a well-glazed ceramic trophy. Well, that's pretty cool. Were you surprised? You've already shot all the episodes, I presume.
Yep.
And everybody seemed very proficient from what I saw that opening when you have the original. Is there 10 contestants?
Yes.
10 potters.
Yeah.
Who can you, without giving anything away, what surprised you from the season? What did you see that you thought, wow, like I'm surprised they would even attempt this given the time and the structure of the show?
I think the one thing that surprised me over and over again is how well the potters performed in such a short amount of time. Like we gave them literally 6 hours, maybe 7 hours at the most to make something out of wet clay, and then an additional 3 hours to make to deal with the surface. My students at a university level, I give them 3 weeks for one project.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks, we gave them less than a day. It's wild.
They really, handled the challenge of that time constraint. And it didn't diminish their creativity or how much they were trying to really put into their projects. So I'd say overall, every episode, I was just always blown away by everybody really upping their game.
Yeah.
Well, even there's a lady, I think, who's originally from Mexico, who lives in Halifax now, is what I got right.
New
she was in New
Brunswick.
Brunswick, yeah.
Okay.
Elsa.
But she created one of the first tasks was just to sort of express where you're from in pottery. My goodness, the theme, the development of the concept was very complex and well executed under those time constraints. That surprised me. Did you think that was like, holy smokes, how did you pull this off?
Yeah, every one of them, I felt like there was those moments where it's just like, how are they doing this? And the other thing to consider is that ceramics has its own timeline, and it's very fickle, and it's sometimes really mean. And you see that later on in the show. And it was just wild to see. It never stopped how brave the potters were. They just went for it every time.
And the positivity of them also.
Yeah.
Under duress, under the gun, no time, still laughing, still smiling, still helping someone who's running out of time.
Helping each other out, and the camaraderie and great energy that they brought to the set was fabulous.
Nobody was throwing an elbow or pulling the sweater over the head. It was all helping out.
No.
Yeah, it was really positive.
It's a lovely show. And you're sort of at the mercy of the kiln, aren't you? I mean, you're in a setup for a studio to do this show, but things can happen when the clay is being cured, if that's the right term, right? And you just never know, right? Is that what you're referring to? Some things later on?
Yeah, definitely. When you put the work into the kiln to be fired, there's so many opportunities for hijinks. So many.
Hijinks is nicer than heartbreak.
Right, yeah.
Definitely nicer.
Wow.
Yeah, but challenges throughout the making as well as the firing process. Clay, as you were saying, is a really malleable and extremely high maintenance and tricky material to work with. It's both easy and so hard.
And how does it work? So they have these 6 hours to create something, and then do you go away and then the next day is when they paint it or glaze it, or is it all done in the same span?
There's a period of time in between when the pieces are made and then refined, then they get fired the first time in a kiln, and then it comes out and they decorate and apply their glazes, and it goes into the kiln again.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a 2 firing process, and that takes place over multiple days because of the time spent in the kiln.
It would have to be
And
exhausting
cooling.
if you were just to do it all at once, right?
Yeah.
Well, it takes usually anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to reach temperature when you're firing a kiln, and then at least as much to cool down.
Wow. Where are some of the artifacts? I think you're going to display them, aren't you? Put together a collection.
In the Throwdown Gallery.
In the Throwdown Gallery.
All-
Which I kept saying will be there till the end of time.
Yep.
And then I kept going, where is this Throwdown Gallery? In a bunker
It's in
somewhere?
an old Diefenbunker.
Is it Ottawa?
It's in the Rocky Mountains.
It lives
Embedded
in
the
our
Rocky
hearts
Oh,
forever.
really? But it'll be displayed for people to see from the show? Or?
I don't know. Yeah, that would be
Don't know.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like the work that was
Like-
produced from the show would be such a strong gallery show.
It would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Yeah.
Should do a tour.
If you were participating as a contestant, as a potter on this, would this be just as challenging for you, or would you have ways of shortcuts to make this work, or have you thought about how you would play the game?
Yeah, how would you guys have done?
I think I would be doing that sabotaging and elbowing people at the glaze cocktail. I think that might have been my angle.
Tripping somebody on
Tripping
their
somebody
way.
over.
Yeah.
Here, try my clay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, the entire time, as I was watching these people create these things under this time constraint, I was also occasionally imagining, oh my God, what if this was me? And honestly, they were doing all the tricks and all the techniques, I think, that are in our repertoire. I don't think there'd be that much different that we could do. I think everybody just puts their own creative spin on it. But technically, there's just so much you could do with the clay. I don't think, I think everybody really was on level for their skills.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very impressive. I think it's a fun show to watch. Congrats. And it's premiering Thursday, February 8th. We can tell everyone, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty exciting on CBC and CBC Gem. So thanks very much. That's the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown. I love this show. I think it's fun. You should have an episode where you bring TV critics in to try to make anything.
Done. Season 2. We'll see
Season
you.
2.
I'll be there.
Season 2.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks very
Nice
much.
to meet you.
Have fun today.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks to Phil Hahn for producing this podcast and being as fired up as the winning entries on the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown. Thanks as always to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and the rest of the Crispy Critters, as well as Piano Man Stephen Dudley for the music shared here at Brio TV. My thanks as well to the folks at CBC Publicity for setting up this interview session. Now finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.